At this time, we'll call our meeting to order. Let us stand for our invocation and for our pledge of allegiance. To the greatest creator of all, the maker of all the universe, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for another opportunity to come together to do the work and the service of this city. We welcome you into this meeting that you may have your way. We ask for wisdom, knowledge, and guidance as we proceed to handle the business of the citizens of the city of Florence. And also, we ask for your grace and your mercy with all countries that are at war at this time, but especially for Ukraine. So please bring about peace, but present grace and mercy. It is in your great name that we do pray. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, to our council, please see in your package that we have two resolutions. We have resolution number 2022-11 and resolution number 2022-12. If there are no objection, I would like to add these resolutions to our agendas. Do we have any objection to adding those to our agenda? Hearing none, resolution number 2022-11 and resolution number 2022-12 will be added to our agenda. At this time, we are in a position to have the approval of our minutes from February 14, 2022.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second that we proceed with our minutes. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. At this time, I'm going to recognize the pro tem to submit some information for information. No action required or needed.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor and members of council. And before I came in to the council meeting, I was reviewing email and I saw something that I was very excited to see, and I thought I would share that with all council. So I'll pass out some of these. I guess you got one. Here, let's get that one over there. And then you pass these down, Madam Mayor. And also, Randy, this would be for you and other. Where's our chief of police?
Got one more.
Yes. If you pass these out there, and I also have some available for members of the press if you'd like to come pick this up as well. And it deals with a partnership that is being developed for South Carolina between two entities. One is called Serve and Connect, and the other one is Nephron Pharmaceuticals. And it deals with how to assess interactions between law enforcement and communities affecting public safety and impacting public trust. It deals with community policing and how to monitor community policing. This was an article that I saw and I read. It's being looked at specifically for South Carolina. In the article, they define community policing as defined by the United States Department of Justice as a philosophy that promotes the systemic use of partnerships and proactive problem-solving techniques to address the immediate conditions that give rise to crime. It lacks hard data to determine its effectiveness, and now we're trying to find out the root causes of crime and promote community safety. And what the article goes on to say is that's where this app comes in, and it is a partnership that's being done to look at it. And Madam, Mr. City Manager and Mr. Chief of Police, I don't know if you're already familiar with this. I see a nod of the head from our Chief of Police, so he's on it. Do you think this is something that would potentially have some value for us?
Councilman, that's absolutely. I think anytime that we have the opportunity to have greater contact with the community, then certainly that app would be beneficial to us. Right now, as you know, we have numerous neighborhood organizations that we meet with on a regular basis, and we're building that trust with them and problem solving with them. Certainly COVID hurt us in that regard, and we're getting those back up and running. But an app that puts us closer to the community is a real good thing.
Well, thank you for that. And I knew I was probably already sharing information you already knew about.
We've worked with Leah and Sober Connect also. So she's been here and given presentations to us. But we went to a department-wide community policing concept when I became the police chief. So,
2 seconds, would you tell us what Serve and Connect is, please?
It's an organization that supports law enforcement. Her husband was killed in the line of duty, I believe it was in Forest Acres, South Carolina. And she is committed to the community and law enforcement working together, and she provides a number of assets and things to assist us in doing those kind of things.
Thank you. I know, Councilman McCall, the police committee that has been formed would probably take an interest in looking into this further. So here's an extra copy if you want to share that with the committee. And this is for any members of the press that would like to follow up on it. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chief of Police.
At this time, we will continue with our agenda. As you may note, Council, we have several resolutions on our agenda where we have individuals present. So if there's no objection, I would like to move our resolution for recognitions up to this portion of our agenda. If there's no objection, we will proceed with our resolutions. And the first one that we have where a public member will be present is actually resolution number 2022-09. It's a resolution designating April as Fair Housing Month. And at this time, thank you. Do we have a second? So we have a motion and a second. We'll hear from Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. As is our custom, the city recognizes April as Fair Housing Month. And this Fair Housing Act was enacted as Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. The Fair Housing Act is intended to protect the buyer or renter of a dwelling from seller and landlord discrimination. Its primary prohibition makes it unlawful to refuse to sell, to rent, or to negotiate with any person because of that person's inclusion in a protected class. This goal for the housing market, again, looks at the person's background or doesn't look at a person's background or financial resources there to ensure we have fair housing throughout the city of Florence. This is something that the city of Florence has done for several years. We do partner with other housing agencies in the city. And today, if it's Madam Mayor's pleasure, we'd like for you to present the Fair Housing Resolution to the PD Realtors Association.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of this resolution number 2022-09, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. At this time, I'm going to read the resolution and I will ask the representatives to come forward. This is resolution number 2022-09, whereas Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 prohibits discrimination in housing and declares it a national policy to provide for fair housing in the United States. And whereas the principle of fair housing is not only national law and national policy, but a fundamental human concept and right for all Americans. And whereas National Fair Housing Law during the month of April provides an opportunity for all Americans to recognize that the issue of fair housing continues to be a problem for many families of all races, and that the complete success can only be accomplished with the help and cooperation of all Americans. And whereas the City of Florence, in its commitment to fair housing, proclaimed the month of April as Fair Housing Month and urges all of our citizens to join in this effort to reaffirm our individual commitment to support and the practice and the spirit of fair housing law. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Florence in the state of South Carolina do hereby proclaim the month of April as Fair Housing Month. This resolution is dated of 14th day of March 2022. Thank you, City Council. And at this time, we will ask the representative to please come forth to receive the resolution. On behalf of the City of Florence, thank you for all that you do to make sure that our citizens have livable homes here in our city. And we will support y'all in any way that we can to accomplish this goal for the citizens of Florence and also for our neighbors. Thank both of you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do you care to say anything? You're welcome to come here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Council. I'm Charles Munn. I'm president of the PD Realtors Association, and I have Vonda Sella-Force with me. She is the chairperson of DEI, which is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. In the month of April, we're trying to do something special for the fair housing. But as a realtor, we try to make sure that fair housing, everybody's the same, and that's who we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have resolution number 2022-10. It's a resolution honoring Lil Jazzy's contribution to the efforts to revitalize downtown Florence. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been a motion and second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of resolution number 2022-10, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect the resolution has passed unanimously. Chair recognizes Councilman McCall.
Yep, so resolution number 2022-10, resolution honoring Little Jazz's contributions to efforts to revitalize downtown Florence. Whereas the owner of Little Jazz's, Miss Andrea Mullins, and her family have established a locally owned and operated eating establishment in downtown Florence and are small business owners and pillars of the community. And whereas the investment by Little Jazzy is welcomed and is playing a role in the continued development of Florence's downtown business district. And whereas the owners are contributors to the community's growth through their community service, customer engagement, and inviting atmosphere. And whereas the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce has requested that the city recognize the business efforts of Little Jazzy's and its contributions to our community. And now therefore be resolved that upon the petition of the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce and in recognition of Little Jazzy's contributions to the continued efforts to revitalize downtown Florence, the City Council of the City of Florence hereby declares the month of January through March the Little Jazzy's Corner, as it is resolved. This 14th day of March 2022. Ask you, the owners to please come up. I would add they have a very delicious breakfast meal you all should. You want to say a few words?
I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity. Thank Mr. Miller, Mr. Les for the opportunity. I was definitely shocked, and I appreciate the support of the community, my husband, and anybody, so many of you guys that come out and support us on a regular basis. We do appreciate it, and we hope to continue making you guys feel like family when you come in.
Thank you. Next on our resolutions, we have resolution number 2022-11. It's a resolution to congratulate the Wilson High School Tigers for winning the 4A State Basketball Championship. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a double second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Let us reflect this resolution have passed unanimously.
I should probably say a quick discussion. I missed the mayor's ball. I went to the game. I missed the mayor's ball. My wife is still upset. Because I went and caught the game with the fellow Tigers. So again, congratulations. But thank you.
All right. At this time, I'm going to read the resolution. And resolution number 2022-11, a resolution to congratulate the Wilson High School Tigers for winning the 4A State Basketball Championship. Whereas the Wilson High School varsity boys basketball team defeated West Florence Knights, and which was 63-50 on March the 1st, 2022, to become the 4A basketball lower state champions. And whereas the Wilson High School boys basketball team defeated AC Florence 52-43 to win the 4A basketball state championship on March the 5th, 2022. And whereas in this program's first 4A state crown and their second state championship in the history following a 3A championship in 2007. And whereas led by head coach and Wilson alumnus, Coach Carlos Powell, the Wilson Tigers finished the season with 23 wins, 5 playoff victories, and a regional 6-4A regular season title. And whereas through the hard work and determination, these students athletes have proven themselves state champions and are role models for area youth. And whereas in this winning season, it is a great source of pride for the players, coaches, students, alumni, supporters of Tigers athletics, Florence School District 1 staff and administration, and Florence community. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Florence, South Carolina commends this tremendous athletic accomplishment and congratulated the Wilson High School boys basketball team and the coaches for winning the 4A State Basketball Championship. Resolved this 14th day of March 2022. I'm going to ask that this winning team and this winning coach please come forward to receive just a part of the recognition y'all are due.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to smile because when it comes to Carlos, he went to school with my nephew. So I got some great work. And I would like to say to the players who are represented here and also for the players who are not here, thank you. Carlos, thank you for coming back home to share your talents and your gifts. You didn't have to, but you did. So we thank you. We thank you for showing these young men that all things are possible. And to you young men, let this just be the beginning of your success, not only in the athletic world, but also in the academic world. Continue to be the role model this resolution has said you are, because you are. Thank you and congratulations on that victory of bringing that victory back home. And I say to the city of Florence, because they represent the whole of Florence.
Yes.
Because the school districts and everyone else support our students. So thank you for bringing it back home for all of Florence to share. Thank you so much. And if you get a shake there. Yeah, Coach. And I do want to recognize that we've got some Wilson alumni, I believe.
Let's get in that picture.
Yeah.
We're going to sing that.
All the alumni down, y'all with us all. Yeah. Y'all want to have a word here?
Come on,
And
Coach.
I do want to acknowledge for myself, my four brothers and sisters are all alumni of Wilson, and I'm West Florence. I cheer for both, I can't lose.
Thank you guys again for, this acknowledgement, but these are the guys that, got it done for us, man, and, 11 other guys that got class right now. But we just want to say we appreciate everything. We did this for the city of Florence. We know what we had to do, and we know we had a goal, and these guys just went to work. And every day, didn't matter what was going on, they got the job done, but most important, they got their schoolwork done first.
Right.
And you're talking 4.0s, 4.5 GPA kids, not just them, but all the way across the board. So that's just a major accomplishment and acknowledgement to their parents. They're great athletes, but they're students first. And I just want to recognize that, and the championship at the same time, man, because it's hard being the champion, but they got it done. I just want to say thank you guys again.
And before you leave, we have some council members who want to speak to you. So at this time, I'm going to recognize Pro Tem Jabali and then Councilwoman Barnes.
First off, Coach Powell, I want to congratulate you and your team, your team behind you, as well as all of the team. I want to offer congratulations. And as fellow Gamecocks, we'll take state championships or any kind of championship any way we can get them. So thank you for your time that you did with the University of South Carolina, starring for them and going on to your professional career. And as Madam Mayor said, coming back home to Florence is great. But the mayor and I are both West Florence graduates, and I just want to comment that, to my knowledge, and someone can correct me if I'm mistaken, but I don't know that it's ever happened before that you've had two Florence teams playing for the lower state championship at the same time. What a great testimony that is, not only to Wilson and not only West Florence, but to the entire Florence community and the impact that we have on the athletic field as well as the academic field. So a big congratulations to both teams, but especially to Wilson and to you, gentlemen, for the work that you did. You all have represented our community well, and we're very proud of you. Thank you.
Councilwoman Barnes.
Well, I am so you could tell I'm still excited, right? You see the smile. When I saw y'all sitting back there, I started smiling. And so just kudos to you. But I just want to ask the coach one question. Have you all named that dance you did at the end of the game? If not, I recommend the Tiger Walk.
No, it's already has a name. I actually got it from him.
Oh, okay.
I actually got the dance for you.
Great. Thank you for giving excitement to the game and to the guys. I could tell that they played with heart, and a lot of times skill will take you someplace, but heart will keep you at the top. So thank you.
Councilman McCall.
I know you're not going to say it if you're trying to be in a very professional aspect of it. But I'm going to say it for you. Dog work, don't lie. That was their motto all year long.
Yes.
I remember when you came to me during the football season and said, these boys are different. I was like, all right, don't sell me yet. But thanks again for all the hard work that you all have done. And again, I'm a pleasure to be supportive of you all throughout. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask that all present, we're in the presence of champions, not only in the athletic world, but also in academics. This is what we're striving for our young people. Please let us stand and give them applause for this great work.
I did want to say kudos to our recreation department, because Williams Middle School, all the girls also went undefeated this year, and the majority of those players came out of our own recreation department. So kudos to the work that's done through the city and the county in preparing great athletes.
And with that note, thank you everyone for supporting the teams. And also, I do want to recognize that the South Florence girls did play in the semifinals on that Tuesday as well. And I would say hats off to the ladies because this is Women History Month. So our ladies represented.
Yes.
So to everyone, thank you. But most of all, thank you to the citizens of Florence for supporting our students who are our future. Let's do right by them. So just like Carlos, when they go off, they prosper, they come back home. That is the goal. So thank you to everyone who supports our students and also our school system. Thank you. So at this time, we will proceed with our agenda as outlined. At this time, we have appearance before councils.
We're missing one. Number 12.
Oh, see, I'm so excited about that. I'm not recognizing what we need with this blood here, too. So next we have resolution number 2022. It is a resolution to proclaim March 2022 as American Red Cross Month. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That was aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Let it reflect that resolution number 2022-12 has passed. And we do have representative here, but I will read the resolution into record. A resolution proclaiming March 2022 as American Red Cross Month. Whereas in times of crisis, people in the city of Florence come together to care for one another. This humanitarian spirit is part of the foundation of our community and is exemplified by American Red Cross volunteers and donors. And whereas in 1881, Claire Barton founded the American Red Cross, turning her steadfast dedication for helping others into a bold mission of preventing and alleviating people's suffering. Today, we honor the kindness and generosity of Red Cross volunteers here in the city of Florence, who continue to carry out Claire's life-saving legacy. They join the millions of people across the United States who volunteer, give blood, donate financially, or learn vital life-preserving skills through the Red Cross. And whereas the Red Cross volunteers give hope to the most vulnerable people, vulnerable in their darkest hours, whether it provides emergency shelters, food, and comfort for families devastated by disasters like home fires, donating essential blood for accident and burn victims, heart surgery, and organ transplant patients, and those receiving treatment for leukemia, cancer, sickle cell disease, supporting service members and volunteers, veterans, helping to save their lives of others with first aid, CPR, and other skills, or delivering international humanitarian aid. And whereas their work to prevent and alleviate human suffering is vital to strengthening our community's resiliency, we dedicate this month of March to all those who continue to advance the noble legacy of the American Red Cross founder, Claire Barton. We ask others to join in this commitment to give back in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Florence, South Carolina, hereby proclaim March 22nd as American Red Cross Month in the City of Florence, and encourage all of Florence to reach out and support the humanitarian mission. Be it resolved this 14th day of March 2022. I will ask that the representative for the American Red Cross please come forward. First of all, thank y'all for your service. And I do want to say, being a nurse myself, I've had the honor of being able to give blood personally from my body, but also to administer blood, even for my small little preemies to our adults. So the importance of blood. And I will ask that when we get finished please go forth and let everyone know how important giving blood is and how many lives they can save just by giving a unit of blood. So thank you for all that y'all do. The healthcare could not survive without the service of the American Red Cross. But most of all, the life-changing skills you get with CPR, the general public will actually be positioned so you can save a life by learning CPR. And I'm sure that it's mentioned maybe something about the hands-on with CPR. We're all positioned to save lives. Even whether we are a medical profession or just citizens, please listen when they speak with us. Hear how you can always position yourself to save someone else's life, but also to save a family member or a loved one. Thank you for all that y'all do, and forgive my voice, but thank you, because we truly appreciate you. And we'd like to present this resolution to you and your organization.
Hello, everyone. I first want to thank you guys for taking this time to acknowledge Red Cross Month and the efforts that we go to in our life-saving mission. A lot of people don't know everything that we do at the Red Cross and the lives that are touched through our disaster relief response, and that goes from home fires, natural disasters, anywhere we can help, we have our hands in it, as well as our blood services, as she was touching on. 3% of our population give blood when 38% are capable. And you don't realize how detrimental that is until you have a family member in need of blood and it's not on the shelf. In the past 2 years that we've been in our pandemic, people with COVID have needed life-saving blood, and that's been detrimental, as I said, because we have people that need blood on a regular basis that have chemotherapy, trauma patients, the list just goes on and on. And she was saying babies as well. On the other end of that, we have our response with our international in service to the armed forces and how we take care of our veterans. We make sure that they're in contact 24/7 with their families. So that's behind the scenes, what you don't see on the billboards for blood and how we affect families right next door to you. And then as she was stating, our training that we have multiple different trainings that are open to the community. And I'll have my business card out for you guys if you want to reach out if there's any trainings you're interested in, where I can get you in touch with our training services. But again, I just wanted to thank you guys for recognizing Red Cross Month in the month of March and the stamp that we have on our community. We're honored and we're humbled to serve the city of Florence.
And
this is Amber Sellers.
Hi. Yes, I serve on the board of the Eastern South Carolina chapter, and Kara is certainly more qualified to speak to what the Red Cross does and our mission. But I will tell you, I've been astounded to learn not just about the opportunity to donate blood, which, to give a plug, I had to overcome a very major fear and began giving blood again, so can you. But also our service to our veterans, your monetary donations, your time, we all have the opportunity to work together, and we appreciate the recognition from the city. Thank you.
And before you leave, Councilman Braddock wants to speak.
Yeah, I wanted to reflect upon the last thing you said. My mother passed away about 3 years ago, and my brother was stationed in Iran. And I never even knew that the Red Cross did this, but they got him home so that he could see my mom before she passed away. And so that is a huge blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that completes our presentation of resolutions. So at this time, we will proceed with our appearances before council. And at this time, I'm going to ask that we limit our remarks to 5 minutes unless we need to request to extend. So first we will have Dr. Jermaine Ford, President of Florence Darlington Technical College. Welcome. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to let my chair go, and then I'll come right after you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, members of council. My name is Paul Seward. I'm the current chairman of the Board of Commissioners. We've also got Mr. Clint Moore here, who serves as a commissioner on our board. Thank you for your service. But it gives me great pleasure. Most of you have met Dr. Ford, but I'll tell you, Dr. Ford, we hired him on October the 4th, and he has done a fantastic job. And I'm proud of the progress that we're making out at Tech. I know our mayor is a graduate of Tech, and she will be giving our commencement address in May at our graduation, so we're excited to have that opportunity to hear from you. But just wanted to introduce Dr. Ford. He's working very hard to connect the dots between Tech and the community, and as you all know, we couldn't do what we do without the technical college and putting folks back to work. I certainly appreciate the comments that Coach Powell made about the importance of education, and the athletics is fun, and I was at that game, Coach, and it was exciting. So congratulations. But I'll introduce Dr. Ford and let him just share just a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Madam Mayor, City Council, so glad to be here. And to our Wilson athletes, such fine display of young men. And there's a warm seat at Florence Darlington Technical College waiting for you. I need to raise some money to have a basketball team, but there's a warm seat awaiting you. I began on October 4th, hitting the ground running right away, meeting with internal and external stakeholders. We have a campaign we're doing at Florence Darlington Tech called Reimagining Florence Darlington Tech. As many of you know, we had a rich beginning, a rich middle. The last few years we've been working to find our way. And upon coming on October the 4th and being able to give this phenomenal opportunity to serve our community, it is such an honor to serve our community because, number one, I'm a product of a school like Tech. And number two, I grew up in a community that looked just like our region, except it was much smaller with just 5 stoplights and 1 McDonald's. And I remember my mama telling me, son, keep God first, and you got to get your education. And I remember those words, I have to get my education. And it's because of that that I stand before you today. And we look forward to serving our community. Many of you have seen, and me and my team, which is very different than before. We're more outward facing right now because it's all about service. Here's the other thing. The mission of Florence Darlington Technical College has always and will always be a technical college. Let me say that. That means student success and workforce and economic development. If we're not tapping into our business market to find out what the business market needs for business recruitment, business expansion, and business retention, we haven't done our job. So I'm just ecstatic to be here today. And Madam Mayor, I don't know if there's any questions. I'll try to keep my comments at least 2 minutes. Are there any questions from the City Council before I conclude?
Recognizes Councilwoman Barnes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I wanted to say thank you for your efforts. Right now, as you know, we just had a town hall, and we're trying to fight gun violence, and we're also doing things to fight housing shortage and the decline in the community. Building the community with improvements of structures as well as those who live within the community. To fight this problem, we've got to give them a reason to put down the guns and pick up skills that will help them to get a legitimate paycheck. And so I am hoping that we can partner through our city, as well as we have a CDC board that we are talking about the partnership with Florence Darlington Tech, because we've got to develop those skills that are missing. If you are building onto your house or trying to get any work done, you know that there is a shortage in certain skills that we need really badly: electricians, plumbers, all of those. So I am hoping that this partnership can come to reality. We have the chairperson of this board, your very own CIO, Tyron Jones, that he serves on that board. And so it would be great that we could develop a partnership that will put skills in the hands of those who are actually feel hopeless. And so they destroy communities instead of building communities. So thank you for coming before us, and we hope that that partnership can be a reality.
And Madam Councilwoman, I'd like to say I was with Jeff McKay early this morning, and he was talking about in our service region more than 22,000 people who are neither employed nor underemployed. And I asked him specifically what counties that represents? And he said, it's within this county. So I said, I need every name and address, because it is my vision to be able to have one day a construction academy with a full suite of short-term certification-based programs in plumbing, electrical, HVAC, drywall. But we need support, and I need a lot of partners to make that happen. So what I do promise you is to be able to come back to give reports as to how we're doing at Florence Darlington Tech to move the needle as far as economics in our region and getting people well-trained into high-wage opportunities within our region. So I look forward to have that continuous conversation.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chair recognizes Pro Tem DeVita.
President Ford, thank you so much for being here with us. As the chair of the Business Development Committee, the work we've been doing is exactly what you're talking about. We had a presentation from Clint Moore, and we had from the Florence County Economic Development Partnership talking about the development that's taking place in our county and the industry that is looking at the county and the new buildings that are going up, the spec buildings that are being put in place. But none of that matters if we don't have employees. If we don't have qualified people, you can have these great jobs openings coming in, but if we don't have qualified people to fill those jobs, we're really not accomplishing much. So exactly what you're talking about, workforce development, is every presentation that comes in, when the state comes around and they talk about the needs, it's always workforce development is number one at the top. And what we've been needing is exactly what you're talking about. And I just commend you for it. I appreciate it. And on behalf of all of council, we just are behind you and we're with you, and we are hopeful of what report we're going to get next year when you come back and give us that update.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Chair
you.
recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Well, I want to thank you for the program you're offering to high school students. I feel like I owe you a check because my daughters, I have 3 of them who have, the first 2 went into college almost sophomores. And my oldest graduated in 3.5 years. So I saved a whole 1.5 years of tuition because they got such an early start. So I might be able to afford their weddings if it continues down this route. But thank you for offering those classes, because I've got a daughter at home now. She's a junior, and she's already taking classes at Tech, which just, it starts that learning process. It starts that transition early so that they've already gone through that first year of classes before they even get into that college experience. So thank you very much for that program. It's a huge benefit to me. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's benefited financially by that endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I would like to thank you for being here. And I'll just have to say, preparing to speak at the commencement speaking is wonderful, but I so want to acknowledge that I started nursing school while I was actually a senior in high school. And from there, I was able to go to Tech to attain my associate degree. But not only that, from Tech, I went right on to Francis Marion. And I want to say, especially for Tech, one of the things I was told, well, if you made it through Tech, you'll fly through Francis Marion. And that is to attest to the skill set that I've learned at Florence Darlington Tech. And literally, as nursing students, you know, we felt that you were really trying to fail us out. That was our thought. But when we succeeded and we went through the pass boards, 100% passes, we understood. The goal was to make sure that we were top of the line. We were the best nurses that we could be. And it's because of coming through that RN program that I can say I'm sitting here today with 40 years of nursing experience. So I thank Tech for being present in the city of Florence to offer opportunities for students to be able to go from one level to the next without a break in the system. And thank you, and I'm looking forward to all that you're already doing to produce positive things within our community. Also acknowledging the partnership that you set out and you got going so great with the school district, who will be the feeders into Tech and to Francis Marion. So welcome to Florence, and thank you already for everything you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, next we have on our agenda is Mr. John Harrington. He's a resident here in Florence, and he's going to speak to the council on the alternative program to drugs, alcohol, and to violence.
this up here. Well, good afternoon, folks. It's such a nice day in Florence. Thank you, Mayor Irvine. I haven't seen you since September.
Yes, sir.
And I'll tell you, I've been trying to get an assistant, and it's such a nice day here. I think we should have had the meeting out in the parking lot maybe, because I called back to where I got my one college. I hold 2 college degrees, not that I'm better than anybody else, a Bachelor of Science degree from a Big Ten university up north, and I'm not real proud about it. It's been on the news. But the other college degree is out west. And one of the restaurants where I had lunch, I'm very down to earth, by the way. I have a very good friend who's a teacher, teaches 3-year-olds to 6th graders. And my project is called Talents. The Pennsylvania State Representative was very interested in it. And I served 14 years under my own choosing, my own effort, and my own funds on a project called The Alternative. Get it? The Alternative to Drugs, Alcohol, and Violence. And I don't always know where I'm going to go with this, but congratulations to all you athletes. Because where I come from, I was a thin, skinny little running type guy, and then a strange man named Schwarzenegger came to this country. This is me. I got 7th place in Mr. America, certain year, just to let you know who I am. And the history of what I do, is this Women's
Yes,
Month, really?
History Month, yes,
Cool,
sir.
cool, because I have 2 daughters. One is up north with her mother and one down south. So Florence, where I purchased a home. And if the athletes are still here, or anybody here, I know one national champion at a sport that I tried out for the Olympic Games, the Olympics, Mary Lou Retton that year. I'm lucky I can walk up here because I went through a total hip replacement like she did. But where I came up with this, the history of the talents, is I started it on a property that I put my backpack down on. A lady, 94 years young, drove herself from Clearwater, Florida to Encinitas, California alone. And that was the 22nd of October, year 2000. I've been all around America, and I like it here, the weather, but can be serious. There was a very bad wreck on Friday night when I was at a movie. I don't know if it was on Second Loop. But what they were trying to do here is 2 words, community and betterment. And I know I didn't bring it in because I kind of touched it up a little bit. My next door neighbor man, Mr. Eitzen, was an architect. So the things I'm humbly asking for right to a point, first of all, it'll provide community and betterment through what was just mentioned here. In fact, the Red Cross folks, when I was in the Navy, as we say down here in South Carolina, when Daddy died, he was in Pennsylvania, but the Red Cross had it all set up. One of the reasons this picture, my brother was the first vice president of Merrill Lynch, which actually he passed up. I don't always know what I'm going to say, but I know that it'll provide jobs, definitely health and betterment. Does my Bachelor of Science degree in corporate health. We had to take alcohol awareness. This facility would just have absolutely no drug or alcohol involvement. And on that note, I don't know if you folks watch the Olympics. I'm not that great of an athlete, but I was taken by that metal silhouette. I trained with John Defoe Eustace. The father worked in Washington, D.C. And on that note, I was in Washington, D.C. on the 12th of September, 2007, room 418, the Cannon Building. And I'm not a politician, but I didn't get any funds. So for 14 years, they entrusted me the old Taco Bell, and I helped the kids mainly. Held meetings in there. So what we're doing is we're bringing out people's betterment through sports. Right? The basketball players. In fact, my next door neighbor in college was a rebounding. I don't even know what that means in the whole Northwest United States. So, and then sports, fitness, music. I found this idea singing karaoke one night. Okay, up at the. Well, if you want to know, I graduated out of Penn State, and All right, I'm gonna let that go. But on that note, I have put an ad in the, one of the gentlemen that was a national champion from Penn State. I make it smile here. He was. I did some landscaping because they said I was too chronological. I was too old to wrestle at Penn State. So he had a saying: work hard, believe in yourself, and you will succeed. Work hard, believe in yourself, and you will succeed. Now, I'm mainly geared to kids. And on that note, just show who I am, I had to be right out, point blank honest. I had to put up with kind of prejudice, white man this, white man that, for what Kit Carson did, 1864 to 68. But when I left, there was a full Chiefs Navajo headdress. So, and it's serious, because what this facility will even help the police, firemen, and paramedics, because there's something called powerlifting, which you might not know what it is, but it's safer than what they did in the Olympic Games. I'm sure the country of the Philippines was really happy when Diaz brought the gold medal back. Artwork and tutoring. So there'd even be classes for high school or college to get credits. But when, we would need a building, and the whole thing would be done on a time schedule. Okay, I can bring in the Navy would call it a schematic.
Mr. Harrington.
And I know I've been working out of my garage here.
Mr. Harrington.
Yeah.
I know that we're approaching your time, so let me be sure that we understand. Your acts of the city council today is for a facility?
Yeah, some direction. I put an ad in. I'm not very good on the computer, okay? I'm very honest, all right? In fact, like I say, I've got a very good friend that works with 3-year-olds to 6th graders. And on that note, I got to bring this up. The lady that came in here with me, my scoutmaster, Emil Joseph Kissel, was killed by a drunk driver. He was a Green Beret in World War II. He was my scoutmaster. In fact, when I was trying to lose weight to try to make a certain weight class, he kind of really took care, like, oh, these coaches are looking. I was willing myself down to that. This is God's honest truth. But there'd be my degree from out in Wyoming is in business management. You had to take accounting, so every funds would be accounted for. It would provide jobs, college credits, this sort of thing. So yeah, we would need a building.
Mr. Harrington, let me ask you this as well. Do you have the information that you may be able to leave with us so that it can be reviewed for the time's sake? Could you please leave that? If you so have information, you're welcome to leave it with either one of our city managers or the directors. Could you please just ask that you kind of give us maybe a 2-minute or 1 to 2 minutes closer at this time, but please plan to leave your information with us?
Yeah, I would be willing to do that.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and the only other thing, since my I'm not to point out a certain street, but there's some cleanup that needs to be done. I think that was mentioned.
Yes,
the
sir.
business providing jobs in my neighborhood. There's a pretty hardworking electrician, but I can write something up.
Yes, sir.
Because like I say, I've been doing this for 21 and a half years, and I was to get a certain grant from. We're talking about a congressman now. And I'm not, a politician, but when I'm helping these are full-blooded Navajo Hopi kids.
Yes, sir.
And, I didn't ever get the grant, but, I go to leave, and I'm explaining myself better in my writing. I go to move the mobile home because certain family with them, and there's a full chief's headdress in there. They call me John. And if you've ever seen the movie Wind Talkers with Nicolas Cage, that's true. The Navajo code talk, that is the hardest language to understand. 14 years and all I know is, hey, auto means next. If you ever go to Tuba City, Arizona. But I'll thank you for your time.
No, sir. Thank you for your service and thank you for your time.
I never got an assistant, so I'm here. Like one sport. Like the basketball players maybe give me. Is that Brian there?
Thank you, Mr. Harrington, and please.
Yeah, Cinderella Man, James Braddock. Remember?
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Please leave the information with us, and I'm sure each council member will review that as well. But thank you for your service too. I see your military service there. And at this time, we proceed with our agenda. Next on our agenda, we have Minister Marcus Simmons, My Brother's Keeper Shelter, to give a presentation on My Brother's Keeper.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to make this as brief as possible. Thank you for your service. I also served in the United States Marine Corps from 88 to 92 during the first Gulf War. To make this as brief as possible, we're going to have someone come up and give you a little bit of background. Then we're going to have someone talk about the grant that the city gave us last year, what we were able to purchase. And now I'm going to come back and finish it up real quick. So I'm going to let them go ahead and get started. They introduce themselves. We still have one of our board members, Elder Beatty, which you all probably know. And we also have Mr. Otis Benjamin, who gives us directions when it comes to the federal government and the state level. So I'm going to let them go ahead and begin.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Janice Albert. The mission for My Brother's Keeper is to provide the basic needs for men, women, and children within the Florence community who are homeless or who find themselves facing financial needs. Our motto is protection from hunger. And what we do, we're currently cooking on average about 250 meals per day. That's 7 days a week. And delivering and distributing these meals to 4 local parks in the area, serving the homeless and those are in need. We also provide grocery care packages for seniors, and for the seniors that's sick and shut in, and those who are unable to travel to the park to provide, to get the meals. We distribute food donation weekly to churches and agencies to support their feeding programs. We have about 15 churches and 10 agencies that we provide food for. We provide clean clothes and hygiene products when they're requested, and also provide spiritual encouragement upon request.
Hello, I am Cassandra Simmons, spouse to Marcus Simmons. I'll go over the list of items that we purchased with the grant that we received on last year. We purchased 2 electric commercial food warmers, 2 double door freezers, 2 double door refrigerators, 1 8-foot hood and installation, 1 60-inch gas range with double ovens, 6 burners, griddle, and 2 additional oven racks, 1 70-pound gas deep fryer with basket and cover, 1 stainless steel 3-compartment commercial sink and accessories, 1 stainless steel utility sink and accessories, 1 stainless steel open base work table, 1 under-the-counter 38-pound ice maker, 4 heavy-duty mobile can racks, 1 mobile pan rack, 2 commercial 21-gallon mobile storage bins with scoops, 1 commercial tabletop electric can opener, 1 commercial garbage disposal, several sets of stainless steel heavy-duty pans with lids, several heavy-duty pots and lids, and gas installation and hookups.
And all that was with the help of the city. So thank you all for even thinking of us to do this. Just to give you all a little bit of background as to what also we have done, we finally have a home. We're at 124 West Darlington Street. It's an old white brick building right next to Trinity Baptist Church. It's what they call the Trinity Annex, but that is now our home. We've also, in case you guys don't know, we also installed this year a generator. So if it ever comes a point within our city where some catastrophe happens, we'll still be able to provide meals on a daily basis. The 4 parks that we currently go to are Northwest, Iola Jones, Levy or Levi, depending on how you pronounce it, and then Timrod Park. We're averaging between 230 and 250. You guys have a report, but for those who don't know, between 230 and 250, the first of the month, everybody's a big baller. They got the little checks, so they don't come as often in the very beginning of the month. So we go down to about 230. But as the month goes on, when we get to about the middle of the month to the end of the month, we average around 250 meals per day. So we have three different teams, really. The first team comes in and cooks every day. There's a different team each day that comes in to cook. The second team comes in for those people who don't like to cook, and it's like an assembly line. They put all the trays together. And then the third team is the delivery team. They come in, they get in our van, and they drive to the different parks, and they distribute the meals and the drinks that we have to offer. So we are blessed to be able to do that on a daily basis. Now, just something that I wanted to just put into everyone's ear is the fact that with the budget that we set out and showed you guys in your packets, last year we were so thankful to have what we had. The year before, thankful for what we had. But it's getting to be a little tighter now. If you notice, I'm going to just use one item that's on there, and I won't talk about any of the rest. That item is the styrofoam plates. If anyone has a business or anyone has been in food services, they know that it's getting harder to find styrofoam plates. But not only is it getting harder, they are way more expensive. The first year that the city gave us funding, it cost us approximately $6,000 for the year to have the styrofoam plates. Last year, it cost us almost $10,000 to just purchase styrofoam plates to use on a daily basis. This year, we know it's going to be in excess of at least $13,000. So we want to just encourage the city to just consider what we are receiving so that we might be able to continuously meet that need. We are positioned so that if something did happen within the city where we needed to do additionally, we can go as far as we've tested it out. We can do approximately 500 meals per day if need be. We have in the past stepped in when COVID first started, where Meals on Wheels couldn't provide. We were able to provide those meals to go out still with Meals on Wheels, and we're coordinating, collaborating with several different organizations. As we said, we have approximately 15 churches that are coming on a weekly basis to receive goods from us, to go to their churches and their communities to help. And we're also helping different agencies, at least 10 agencies within the city of Florence are receiving assistance from us as well. I can't stop this meeting or stop this lecturing process without thanking certain individuals. I want to just put it out there real quick. I want to thank Brian. We've partnered with them, and they've been such a huge help with us over there as far as just the knowledge that's been given. And I also want to thank Scotty Davis. Scotty has been such a plethora of knowledge that he has given us over the course of the years, and I thank him for that. And I just wanted to open it up. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, I'll be glad to answer.
Chair recognizes Pro Tem Bailey.
Thank you. First off, wow. Thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Thank you. We are blessed in this community with not only the work that you all do each and every day, but so many different entities. I mean, you have the House of Hope and the work that Brian and his team do over there, but there are so many. And what I love to hear is what you just described is how everybody's working together. That is the answer. It's working together because resources are limited.
Yes.
Whether it's human resources, whether it's financial resources, they're limited. And it's through collaboration and cooperation and working together we maximize that. And the fact that the report that you gave is fantastic. Thank you for the detailed report with all of this information of what you were able to do with that funding and how you've turned that into something so successful. The one item you overlooked mentioning that I want to repeat, in 2021, my Brother's Keeper's Shelter served more than 79,900 meals. I'm going to say that one more time. 79,900 meals served in 2021. That is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're just very appreciative of the passion and the work that each one of you do, and keep collaborating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Marcus, I've always wondered what your secret is. Cassandra, it's nice to finally meet you. Especially with it being Women's Month, I think, Marcus has all this energy and ideas, and now we know where they're coming from. You can't take credit for them anymore.
That's right.
But I want to say thank you to you and your team, Janice, Pastor Beatty, and all the team. We work with organizations all the time at the House of Hope. And there are organizations, truth be told, that are in it with some misguided motives, some self-intent, and use the community to service their needs sometimes instead of the communities. But one thing I've known about my Brother's Keeper since day one is it's always been about the people they're serving in the community. And I can be assured that no matter what money we give them, the $50,000 from last year, how you laid out everything that you purchased, I know that 100% of that will go towards the community. And another thing I want to say is during COVID, when people were using COVID as a reason to pull back and to not serve, and to say, we've got to hold on, we've got to see what we need to do. Along with us at the House of Hope, my Brother's Keeper was a ministry that found a way to serve no matter what COVID brought our way, whether it was masks, whether it was getting vaccinated, whether it was wearing gloves, whatever needed to be done, they did so that they could continue to serve the community. And I want to thank you for that, my friend.
Thank you. We love to collaborate with churches as well. If your church would love, or your organization or your entity would love to come on a particular day to help in any sort of way, we would love to partner with you. We don't require that you give us funding. We don't require that you provide and give us something in particular. We just want you to be of service. If you can come and just say, hey, I want to help separate some clothes and have it available for those in the community. I want to come and just deliver the meals to the parks. And if you deliver, you will just see the faces and the thank yous and the tears that come from the parents' eyes on a daily basis. And you can't say, once you do it once, you can't say no again. I just thank you guys for just giving us that opportunity to be able to continue to do this. It's been a passion of mine. Part of what I did in the military was this. So I thank God that He prepared me in advance to be able to do this now. And if you have a passion like we do to help those who are in need, we would love to have you come and just see what we're doing. If you do nothing else, come out to the annex and see what it looks like. It's a beautiful facility now. On the inside, we've remodeled the bathrooms so that once we start opening up to give showers, those individuals who are homeless will have a place that they can come to daily. We have the towels, we have the soaps, we have everything that they need where they can come in, and then we can clear the area once they've completed their showers in the men's and women's bathrooms. So we've really remodeled the place, and we would love for you to come out and check us out.
We would like to thank you for coming before us today, and I've had the opportunity to go out and take a look, and I saw all the new equipment, everything that the city assists with purchasing. So thank you for all that you are doing to actually meet a cause that's here in this city. Thank you for your ministry.
Yes, ma'am.
And to the volunteers, also to the board, thank you, because what you're doing is a ministry, and it's got to be a passion in order for it to proceed. So thank you for all that you do for our citizens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, we will proceed into our ordinance and position. First, we have Bill number 2022-03, which is for a second reading, and it's an ordinance to amend our Unified Development Ordinance regarding portable donor receptacles. Do we have a motion? Someone?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the bill has passed. Next, we have Bill number 2022-05- for a second reading. It's an ordinance to call for a public referendum to be held at the general election in November 2022 to determine whether or not to authorize the Department of Revenue to issue temporary permits for a period not to exceed 24 hours to allow for sales of beer and wine at permitted off-premise location without regards to days or hours of sales in the city of Florence pursuant to the South Carolina Code number 61-6-2010. And we do have those signed up to speak on this. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So we have a motion and a second. At this time, as we open for discussion, I'm going to ask that the ones who are here to speak upon them, we're going to call them forth. First, we have Colbert Stone.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I would like to thank the City Council for the hard work and all the time that you devote to making good and wise decisions on behalf of our city. I would also like to thank you for the opportunity to speak today about this very important decision. Today, our City Council is voting whether or not to create a city ordinance to direct the local elections board to put a question on the ballot for the November 22 elections. I looked up that word ordinance. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about. And the definition of an ordinance is it means to demand or it means to order or to demand something. So basically, this body is ordering or demanding an opportunity to be created to increase the consumption of alcohol in the city of Florence. Currently, you can buy and consume alcohol on the premises of an establishment in the city of Florence. This new law, if it becomes law in November, if the people vote for it, would allow retailers to sell larger quantities of alcohol that can be consumed elsewhere and for longer periods of time. So the question is not whether you can order and consume alcohol beverages on Sunday, because you can, but whether you can buy more alcohol and consume throughout the day and night. Some city council members have said that they would vote in November against the new law because they feel like it's a bad decision to promote more alcohol consumption in Florence. But they believe the people deserve the right to make a choice. I took the time to read South Carolina Law 61-2010, and I was looking for the clause that said a local municipality like the city of Florence was required to create an opportunity, like this referendum, for the increase of alcohol sales on Sunday. There is no such requirement in the law. The law states that a local municipality can make their own choice about whether to create the opportunity to put to a public vote. I would argue that this council has already been empowered by the people by being elected to city council to make wise choices and decisions that affect the welfare of our city. I find it interesting that this very same council voted again last month for a citywide mask mandate without any interest in giving the people a right to vote. This city council voted on the mask mandate last month because they believed it was in the best interest of the people of Florence to have that mandate. Some residents in the city might agree with their vote, but I wonder, would a majority disagree? My point is not whether you would have the votes to pass or not pass the mandate for the mask. My point is that you took the responsibility as a governing body to do what you thought was best for the community without having a public vote. Why act one way for a mask mandate and another way for Sunday alcohol sales? The ordinance in question today, 2022-05, states in paragraph 3 and 4 that some members of the council believe that because some surrounding municipalities have removed all restriction for Sunday alcohol sales, that we here in Florence are going to be negatively impacted. I quote from the ordinance. It says,
The inability to sell beer and wine for off-premise consumption on Sunday causes businesses in the city of Florence to lose potential customers and businesses to competitors located outside but near the city. Well, if money was the only question, I might agree. But I believe that the quality of life in our city is not equivalent to selling one more bottle of wine or one more case of beer. There is an intrinsic value of a community that can be only obtained by a people who live life the way God directs us to live. Exodus 28 and 11. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. As a Christian community, we are commanded by God to treat Sunday differently than every other day. And that's one of my main points. Sunday is the day that the majority of the people in our community have collectively agreed is the day of rest and worship. This activity of resting and worshiping has an undeniable positive impact on our citizens, our families, our friends, our businesses, and our city. We believe that this change in city governance, and that's what we're talking about, a change, will have a negative impact on the public health and welfare of the citizens of Florence. There's a reason why previous leaders of the city of Florence placed restrictions on alcohol sales on Sunday in times past. I believe our forefathers had made wise decisions to keep the Lord's Day sacred and to encourage the community to take a day of rest with their families and prepare for the work week that starts the very next day on Monday. If we would ask the city council to lead by making the same wise decision and say the city of Florence will be a better place for its citizens if we don't encourage more alcohol consumption on Sunday by creating an opportunity through this ordinance. I know from personal experience that some people like myself and Councilman Braddock have gotten caught up in the trap of addiction because of the first step of taking a drink. That first drink led to many more, and more led to a life of alcohol, drugs, and addiction. Now, I will quickly recognize that everyone who consumes alcohol is not an addict. I understand that. But I would ask this council to also recognize that every addict started with the first taste. So there's potential danger to our citizens and our community if we increase alcohol sales on Sunday. And if there is a correlation between alcohol consumption and addictive behavior, and we believe there is, I would point out there are some real negative consequences for more alcohol consumption on Sunday that will inevitably lead to more addiction in Florence. Very quickly, citing an article from Georgetown University Health Institute, the societal cost of substance abuse in disease, premature death, loss of productivity, theft, violence, unwanted, unplanned sex, the cost of interdiction, law enforcement, prosecution, incarcerations, probation, child abuse, child neglect, hospitalizations, mortality rates rapidly limit the public funds that we have. We believe the cost of addiction is greater than the value of possible future alcohol sales. The citizens of Florence will be left to pay these costs. Consumers will pay in the form of higher prices for goods and services. Employers and employees will pay higher health insurance premiums. According to some U.S. statistics, that $120 billion are lost every year because of lost productivity because people are struggling with addiction. Taxpayers pay higher taxes for public expenditures for health care, law enforcement, judicial systems, incarceration, as well as prevention and treatment programs. The price is also reflected in the need of foster care and homeless shelters like the House of Hope. Substance abuse also hinders economic growth and diverts resources away from future investments. I am the director of a Christ-centered addictions program here in Florence. I also was an alcoholic and a drug addict for 14 years and have now had the opportunity of helping others working with addicts every week for the last 17 years at the Reform Unanimous program at the Florence Baptist Temple. we've had the privilege of seeing hundreds of men and women in our city set free from the bondage of addiction. I wish I could convey to you the cost, the hurt, the pain, the destruction brought into the lives because of addiction. Just 1 week ago today, last Monday at 8:48 a.m., a man came into my office. He works at a local hardware store, and he was already incarcerated. He was already intoxicated, and he was hurting. He was scared. He was looking for help. He was very afraid of losing his marriage, losing his job, and even losing his life. I'm so thankful that he didn't have a DUI accident and hurt himself or hurt someone else on his way to my office. This coming April, I'm scheduled to go and to speak at the training sessions of our Florence City EMS and try to offer support and training for our EMS crews that are responding to addiction-related calls every day. In a recent meeting with EMS Chief Watkins, he showed me the statistics that showed that addictions-related calls was the 5th highest in our city. 1,630 calls in 2021. Until the COVID pandemic, I led a team that taught a weekly addictions class at the Florence County Jail. For about 7 years, we did that program, and I met hundreds of men, and all different kinds of charges brought them to that class, but there was one common theme, and that common theme was they were struggling with drugs and alcohol abuse. Increasing alcohol sales on Sunday will probably bring more revenue in the form of liquor licenses, taxes paid on the purchase of alcohol, might even have some businesses start up. But it will also bring a huge financial cost as we have to deal with the fallout from more alcohol consumed by our citizens. Short-sighted people only look at the short-term economic gain of money generated by alcohol sales and the start of new businesses, but fail to consider the long-term cost of our community and its citizens. Unfortunately, addiction, much like COVID, has had an undeniable destructive impact on our people and our society. Should we not do everything that we can to protect our city? A life wasted, a lost worker, an absent father, a broken family, a homeless woman and a child, shattered dreams, lost potential, a life of incarceration, an early grave, are the very real consequences of addiction that I see on a weekly basis. Just had a call on the way over here today. The risk of tragedies that affect real people every day in our city are more important than the revenue gained by more alcohol sales. Previous city councils saw the wisdom of having some protective guardrails in our community, not to limit freedom or economic advancement, but because it was the right thing to do for the city. As I close today, I'm reminded of a conversation that I had with another addictions director, a friend of mine from Gainesville, Georgia, that runs a very similar program to mine. We were talking about this referendum and whether the city council would pave the way forward to increase alcohol sales on Sunday. And my friend Mitch, he said, when you talk to the city council, ask them to consider how it would impact a wife and a small child. I had a call like this today. A wife and a small child, she has 2 daughters. When they realized that in times past, Daddy didn't usually get as drunk on Sunday because the grocery store didn't sell cases of beer and bottles of wine. It was very much limited. And he would come home after drinking on Friday and on Saturday. He didn't seem to get as mean or as violent on Sunday. He didn't yell as much. There wasn't as much fighting going on around the house. Every once in a while, he'd sober up from Saturday's drinking and might even take the family to church. At least on Sunday, there was a little more peace and happiness around the house. Well, if we pass this referendum, not anymore. Sunday will be just like every other day of the week. And I humbly beg this council to vote no on this referendum and to follow God's clear directive in Exodus chapter 20. to have a safer, healthier, and happier city of Florence.
Thank you, Mr. Stahl. And we do have two others signed to speak. And as announced before, I will ask that all speakers please keep your comments to within a 5 to 10 minutes time frame. I did not get to announce that again, so Mr. Stahl, thank you. But the following speakers, as we call you for, please refrain to a 5 to 10 minutes comment. So at this time, I will call for Mr. Harold Watson.
Thank you, distinguished members and Mayor. I think 7.5 minutes will do it according to the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. This nation was founded on biblical truth. Our forefathers, governed by biblical principles, God's Word, their counselors were pastors, for they desired to rightly govern God's nation. Our Pledge of Allegiance states one nation under God. Our currency has "In God We Trust" stamped on it. Well, then the question we have to ask ourselves, do we still stand on these truths? Are we going to follow God's will or the world? How do we know God's will? God's will is found in His holy word. His truth is without error and applies perfectly to all areas of life, in nature, in living, and in governing. Truth is absolute. It never changes. And it was and is established by the ultimate authority. There can be no greater authority than the Creator. Only He who made man can know fully what man is. So only He with ultimate wisdom can decide what is right for man. For He loves us and He wants the best for us. What does God say is right for man? Proverbs 3, 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path." So He's telling us that our ways are not His ways. Our opinions and what we have learned of the world's ways are not to be trusted. Why? Well, Jeremiah 17:9 tells us that the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So then if we can't trust ourselves nor the influence of the world, what do we trust in to guide us? 2 Timothy 3:16-17 says, "All Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works." So we're to be guided by Scripture. But two things I must point out here is that it says the man of God. A man or woman of God is someone that recognizes their sinfulness and that they are hopeless and helpless in it, has heard the gospel of Christ and believes that Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son of God the Father, that He was born of a virgin, placed in the womb by the Holy Spirit. He lived 33 years of sinless life that He may be nailed to a cross as the perfect payment for all sin. He was buried, and 3 days later arose from the grave, triumphant, to sit on the right hand of the Father. And in believing this, repent of their sin and ask Jesus into their heart to be the Lord of their life for all eternity. They are baptized by the blood of Jesus to walk in newness of life as children of God, men and women walking in truth to spend eternity with the Lord. The second is good works. Good works are those that glorify God, that please Him and line up with His will for us, as written in His holy word. I have here a copy of some scripture and scripture references that I got from my church. And my pastor preached on this and drinking about a month ago. And I ask that y'all look over these and prayerfully consider them before you make a decision on these. All right. Look here, I love you with all the love of the Lord. I tell you, God's so good. He delivered me. I'm a graduate of the household program. I was homeless. I was helplessly addicted to alcohol. So I knew the goodness of God in this world and in my life. So starting at Romans 14, the last part of verse 10, you know, I have to tell you this. It says, for we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. For it is written, as I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God, as saved and unsaved. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to God. Verse 13, let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this right, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. I assure you this will cause many to stumble, some to fall, being a means of which families are destroyed and people are going to die if it's allowed to be. You know, Satan will stop at nothing trying to destroy man. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. So I pray that you weigh your decision carefully and prayerfully in this area and in all things. And if anyone here does not know Christ as your personal Savior today, or you aren't 100% sure that you're going to spend eternity with him in glory, that you allow me the privilege and honor of taking this holy word and showing you how you can know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior and allow that truth to make you free. I thank you for your time and your willingness to serve the people of Florence. And let's start today making this one nation under God again and honoring God for his word. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. At this time, we have signed up to come forward is Mr. Gary Finkley. Please come forward.
Madam Mayor, members of council, thank you.
Thank you.
I may not be the most suited person to rise to speak against Bill 2205. But I sure do feel a calling to come up here and stand up for Jesus, because I'm afraid that this council is not. I became involved in the alcohol issue in Florence in 2008 when the city council first took up this matter known as alcohol by the drink. And since that time, I've just had a burden for it, a burden. I won't go over the history of what happened in 2008. I'll tell you that I saw Steve Cameron and we talked about Ralph Porter, who was very instrumental in the fight against that. I remember Ralph said, even the drunks need a day off. That one-liner has stuck with me since then. The two speakers before me, I've seen in my practice how alcohol destroys a life, how it destroys a marriage, how it destroys a kid's life. How many people have come up to you here today, just today, with issues that alcohol caused? We started out with crime from the chief. We started out with Wilson. Councilwoman, you said we need to change a kid's heart. We don't change a heart by putting more alcohol out there on the streets. We had my brother's keeper come up here, explain their ministry. How do you think that organization got started? Because of the ill effects of alcohol. And what are we doing here today? In 2018, the County of Florence, in order to compete with what the City of Florence did in 2008, considered a similar referendum. Two measures were on the ballot, and I'm not going into a lot of detail, but one of them was on-premise consumption, and that is what the city had already passed, and the referendum passed by a narrow margin, I might add. The second measure was what you're here voting on today, off-premise consumption. Off-premise consumption. And a lot of us worked hard with council members behind the scene to educate them on what they're voting on, because at first they didn't understand that they were voting on off-premise consumption. They only wanted to compete, to allow their businesses to compete with the city. I want to read from the minutes of that meeting. It was Councilman Scofield stated he had always been a big advocate for referendums which allowed the public to exercise its right to vote to determine matters of interest that would affect their quality of life, and he was struggling with this particular ballot. After further discussion and movement, Councilman Scofield made the motion to remove off-premises sales from the ballot. He removed it. And that passed, it passed 7-3, really it was an 8-2 vote because Councilman...
Mr. Gary, will you clarify which Councilman Scofield, please?
That was your father.
Just so everyone's clear.
It passed 7-3. It really should have been 8-2, but Councilman Mumford wasn't going to vote for anything that had alcohol on it, regardless of it was for the better good or not. But he was against it too. Now we're here at the city a few years later in 2022, wanting to get this back on the ballot, and I encourage you not to. As our prior speaker, I'm concerned with the gradual degradation and chipping away of our godly American heritage and the moral fiber which propelled this country to a status only dreamed of by other nations and is still the envy of the world. While this bill may not be the linchpin to topple the House, it's simply another policy. The piece of legislation reflects that our heart is not with doing what is right for our neighbor, but how selfish and inwardly focused we've become as a nation. It's an example of seeking great freedom and liberty at the cost of the least of our fellow man. It's an example of us wanting what we want that we think will make us happy when we want it, and wanting it now, not waiting for it until tomorrow. It's selfish. It is selfish. My life changed from being a nominal Christian after I began reading the Bible every day. For over a decade, this Bible readings influenced not only my worldview, but my actions. And that's why I'm here today. I unashamedly stand up for Jesus here today and ask for you to stand up and vote no. I stand for keeping the Sabbath holy. I stand for sacrificing my liberty, my freedom to not become a stumbling block for others. I stand for those addicted to alcohol and drugs, willing to give up my liberty so they can have a day of freedom. I stand up simply to be an example to others who share the same beliefs I do and not be afraid of standing up. I stand up in a very feeble attempt to try to live a holy life, not necessarily a life full of fun, self-centeredness, and doing what I want when I want to do it. I charge counsel that I know all of you. You're good folk, you're moral folk, you're Christian folk, but as a brother in Christ, I encourage you today not to be a Peter and do not deny Christ in this vote. When I learned this appeal appeared last month for the first time, I can't tell you how disappointed there was not one of you to vote no. I was very discouraged because I love you all and I know what type of people you are. I was very discouraged. Though all the ill effects of this bill, though the ill effects are not a comparison, I'm reminded, particularly after daily Bible reading, of God's condemnation of Sodom and Gomorrah. And again, it's no comparison. But what did God say? In his colloquy with Abraham, he went, if I can't find 50 people, Abraham said, will you save it? 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. Not 10 righteous people could be found. And what happened? Sodom was destroyed. Only 3 escaped. And I just imagine we've got 7 of you. And there's got to be a person up here to stand up for Jesus. I hope there's 4 of you. I couldn't help and Mr. Stone brought this up as far as referendum. I don't like referendums. You're charged to vote on it. I understand this is something that state law must, in order to pass state law, must go through this. But the buck starts with you and it stops with you. I've learned that all life situations can be found in the Bible. Sometimes it takes a little more reading than others. Do you know what the Bible says about referendum? Who knows what the Bible says about referendum? It doesn't come out and say God's against the referendum. But you know the biggest example of a referendum in the Bible? It's Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate did not have the courage to say no, to do what was right. He let the people decide when he knew what was right. And I know that you know what is right. I know you do. And so I encourage you, again, to stand up for Jesus. Again, I thank council for this opportunity. You don't hear me normally talking about this, but I'm telling you, I have been moved. This bothers me. It bothers me. I've got 5 kids. You know how blessed I am that none of them have yet had an experience with alcohol and drugs. It's out there. You can't turn away from it. Why are we putting it on the street on Sundays? You have the choice to stop it. So, Councilman, I'm asking you, are you going to follow in the wisdom of your father and keep this off of the streets? Mayor, I heard you a couple of weeks ago speak, and you said let others see Jesus in you in your actions. So I'm asking you, will they see you standing up for Jesus today? Councilman Barnes, your brother took a stand, and he voted no. Will you do that today? Councilman Braddock, your group's mission and ministry is to keep alcohol out of people's hands when at all possible and to change their lives. You change people by changing the heart, and you don't do it by putting more alcohol on the streets. So, again, I thank you. I know this is a very difficult issue for you. I do not like coming speaking to you in this tone. So, to the extent I've offended you, I apologize. I hope you can tell it is something that is very dear to me. And I don't know why. I don't know why. But I encourage you to stand up. Vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hinckley. At this time, this completes our list of speakers on the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Chair recognizes Councilman Braddock.
I would like if our attorney could come up and really explain what puts this situation in terms of the state making it where we do have to vote on the referendum versus the actual council getting the vote on this item.
As has been alluded to, and Mr. Finkley alluded to it also, council does not have the authority to approve the retail sale of alcoholic beverages on Sunday by ordinance in the city. State law says that if that is going to be approved in the city of Florence, it must be done through a referendum. What this ordinance is, before you, is doing is providing whether or not council is going to choose to allow that to go before the citizens of Florence with a referendum. Of course, it doesn't require that you vote for it. It requires that if it's going to ever be allowed in the city of Florence, the only way it can be done is through the authorization through a referendum. It's up to council whether you vote for the ordinance or against the ordinance to allow that. But for example, it would be unlawful for us to put forth an ordinance by which council decided we're going to allow it. You don't have that authority. What this ordinance does is say that you would put it before the citizens of Florence to decide whether or not they wanted to allow the retail sale for off premises to occur on Sunday within the city of Florence.
Chair recognizes Pro Tem DeVega.
Jim, just as in looking over the ordinance, I just wanted to ask if you would please read what the actual question that would be presented that the people would be voting on if this were to pass. Because I think that's important to understand if council passes this, that it's going to be a question that's going to be on the ballot and for the people to respond to. Is that right?
That's correct. The state statute actually prescribes the exact question that would have to be on the ballot. And I'll read it as a sentence, a long sentence, but it's a sentence. Shall the Department of Revenue be authorized to issue temporary permits in this municipality for a period not to exceed 24 hours to allow the sale of beer and wine at permitted off-premises locations without regard to the days or hours of the sale?
And it'll be a yes or no.
It would be a yes or no answer on the referendum, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Well, First of all, I got to say, I would not be here on City Council without Corbett Stone and his mother, who answered my call when I was hopelessly addicted to pills and gave me guidance, on where I could go to get the victory that I found in Jesus Christ. Same victory that when Harold came to the House of Hope, same path and program that we ministered to and taught him so that he could get his victory over alcohol. Gary Finkley was one of my largest supporters in my campaign. Probably one of the first checks written. I've been working with people struggling with alcohol and drug addiction for 15 years. My life's purpose is to give hope to the hopeless. That's what God's called me to do. When He gave me this position on council, I wanted to use it as a platform, for His glory. And to bring honor to Him for what He had done in my life and to show people, what a changed life looks like. And, man, what a sticky scenario I found myself in today. Because I agree with every single thing you said, Corbett. Harold, I watched you walk in the door. I hired you on staff. I've seen your life change. I've seen you continue to serve the Lord, serve at Reformers Unanimous. Donna Stone gave me my first job when I got out of rehab at Eastside. In the accounting department, I went to jail for writing bad checks. Eastside hired me in the accounting department. That's why they're out of business today. That kind of decision making. And I have prayed and I have contemplated this scenario over and over and over again. And I don't want to lose a friend. I don't want to lose a mentor. I don't want to ruin a testimony to someone who's been changed. But my fear is that one day I feel like the state went in a direction that we need to go in. I believe in smaller government. I believe that the Ten Commandments was written and we had our laws put in place on us as Christians, 4,000 years ago. But what we weren't willing to do as Christians, we put in the hands of man, to put laws on Sundays just like the Pharisees did. Said you couldn't do this and you couldn't do this and you couldn't walk this far, you couldn't do this job, you couldn't do this. And today I could vote to shut down this referendum and I'd be fulfilling a commitment and a responsibility that both of you men and others in here think that I should fulfill. But a day come 3 months from now, 6 months, 3 years, 30 years, where there's going to be a different government leading us with a different God and a different referendum and making decisions for us. And I believe that the citizens get to make the decision. It doesn't change my love for Jesus. It doesn't change my feelings about addiction. It doesn't change my role and responsibility of what I do every single day. But I've got to trust the Lord instead of trusting man. You put trust in us up here. The state said that we don't get to make that decision. You do. And Corbett, I'll stand alongside of you. I'll beat the drum. I'll do whatever I need to do to get an outcome of this vote. For me to sit here and not allow a vote, telling you in my future, I believe that would be something that I would regret, because I want smaller government. I want less government. I don't want someone to use the same thing that I vote for today to tell us that we can't go to church on Sunday, that we can't be in the parking lots because of COVID. You know what I mean? That we have to wear a mask in order to have church. I don't want that. And it'll be based off of situations like today that government, that men, women will use to take away and strip our rights as Christians. And for such a day as this, I believe God put me here, and that's just where my heart is. I just have to trust and pray that, given what you've seen out of me up until this point, that you believe and trust that that's His will for me on this vote.
Any other discussion? Well, for me, when it was quoted, I did say that I'll be voting against this in November. But in the same voice, and I acknowledge what Councilman Braddock said, that I understand one thing: when you speak of the Word of God, remember the choice is always freely won. Freely won. So for me, I will be pushing the vote to get out to vote no in November. But I have been elected to give that choice. The statement was made about the mask mandate. The mask mandate was an emergency ordinance that we placed in because of a medical emergency, a crisis that this country is in. When it comes to the choice of alcohol, drugs, that's a personal choice. If we do not have it on Sunday, there's nothing to stop anyone from buying a case, 15, 30 cases on Saturday, and have the same results on a Sunday. But as leadership, it is my responsibility to do what legally we have here. We're not voting for the sale. We're voting whether or not the citizens should have the right to choose about the sales. So I will vote no in November on the referendum, but I will always support the rights of the citizens when we're not in an emergency situation to make this choice. And that's the only fair vote that I see for me today. And I will tell you, yes, I believe in God. Yes, I'm a minister. But freely is my word that always come to me, freely. And we must make those personal choices for ourselves, whether or not to consume any kind of addictive substance. That's a personal choice. And so for those of us who do not believe in this, it's up to us to get out there in November to push the vote. And that is what we've got to do. And in the same voice, for those who believe that it should happen, we have to give them that right to choose to. So that is what I have to state for that. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the resolution number 2022-05, I'm going to ask by a show of hand. All those in favor, please raise your hand to show support. Any of those in opposition, do the same. Please let it reflect that bill number 2022-05 has passed second reading unanimously. And I would like to thank all the speakers for coming forth to express your concerns. Please know that we did hear you. Thank you. And then I call the charge. Go forth and talk to our citizens so they can come forth and voice their thoughts in November. Thank y'all for being here now. So at this time, we can proceed into introduction of ordinance. And first we have bill number 2022-04. That's for first reading. And I believe we have a request to defer that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So bill number 2022-04 has been requested to be deferred. Next, we have bill number 2022-06 for first reading. It's an ordinance to annex Bluffs at Mill Creek, identified as Florence County Tax Map Parcel 00152-01-021. Do we have a motion?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. We can hear from Mr. Moore at this time.
Thank you, mayors, members of council. This is the annexation that is associated with the Bluffs at Mill Creek. It was on September 14th and then again in October 11th when City Council went into the development agreement with the developer of this property, and then as a part of that development agreement, upon the construction activities and development, they are to annex. So this is associated again with that development agreement and part of that requirement.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes Pro Tem Bailey.
Clint, just for clarification, would you please identify the parcel in terms of where it's located?
Yes.
And what is anticipated to come?
See, this is the sketch plan that was recently approved at Planning Commission. It is located kind of bounded by Jeffries Creek, Redbud, and East House Springs, along with the railroad. It is across from the South Florence High School and Middle School.
And so this development over in the south part of town, this annexation, what is the expected number of residences that the project is calling for?
I think full build out, it is approximately 240 homes, and they are expected to start here in the next month or two.
Well, I just want to comment that one of the things that we've been trying to do as a council is to encourage growth in our community, to see, we think it's disproportionate that it's the census numbers don't accurately reflect the size of the city. We're on a mission, if you will, to try to officially raise our population over 50,000, and we appreciate the partnership that is in place to bring in quality development, to bring in affordable housing, quality housing, to help quality homes to help build up our community. So I'm very supportive of it, and thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Thank you, Mr. Moore, for that. We have had our motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the bill has passed first reading. Next, we have Bill number 2022-07 for first reading. It's an ordinance to rezone PDD to AC a portion of the parcel located on Second Loop Road and identified as Florence County Tax Map Parcel Number 90030-02-007. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to defer until we can get some more info from the Planning Commission meeting that was passed last week.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by a showing of hand, please. Okay. All right. And any opposed, like sign. All right. Let it reflect that the request for deferral has passed. All right. Next, we have Bill number 2022-08 first reading. For first reading, it's ordinance to abandon any city interest in the right-of-way located behind 900 and 902 Oakland Avenue, identified as Florence County Tax Map Parcel 90114-13-01 and 90114-13-013. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. We will hear from Mr. Moore at this time.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request by the property owner located, if I can get my mouse pointing, they currently own the existing property located on the corner of Oakland and Maxwell, as well as this abandoned facility here. This has been requested by the property owner, and this will facilitate the redevelopment of the convenience store that was associated with the case that came before council earlier, or I guess last year at this point.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Let's show that Bill number 2022-08 has passed first reading. Next, we have introduction of ordinance. We have one ordinance that we did not address. This is resolution number 2021-41. It's a resolution to allow the city of Florence to lease city-owned property located at 719 Walnut Street to PD Commuter Action Agency Partnership as a part of their homeless prevention program. Do we have a motion?
So well, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Where are we?
We're on resolution number 2021-41.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
Shall you withdraw your motion?
Yes.
Hearing no motion, let it reflect in the records that resolution number 2021-41 has failed due to a lack of motion. Thank you, Council. At this time, we will move to our report to Council. First, we will have appointments to boards and commission. We will call for Mr. Davis, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We actually have 4 boards and commissions that have either vacancies or expired terms. Our first board we'll start with is the vacancy on the Board of Zoning Appeals. We actually had someone, Ms. Dees, to resign her position on that board. We do have 1 application from Michael Tommy Phillips. That appointment falls to Councilman McCall.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to defer my nomination at this time.
Okay. It has been deferred. Next.
Next, we have our Construction and Maintenance Board of Adjustments and Appeals. There are 2 vacancies on this board. We have requirements that we need an engineer and a mechanical contractor. We do not have any qualified applicants for this board at this time. The appointment falls to Madam Mayor.
So at this time, I will defer due to lack of applications.
Next, we have our Aesthetics Advisory Committee. There are 2 seats to be filled on this board. Members must reside or be employed within the city limits. There are no applications at this time. We do have appointments for Madam Mayor and Councilwoman Moore.
I'll defer at this time due to lack of applications.
Hey, Scott, is there a quorum for that board yet?
For the aesthetics, yes, they do have a quorum. There are 2 additional seats left.
Okay.
Finally, we have the Resilience and Sustainability Advisory Committee. There are 2 seats to be filled on this board. We need representatives from District 2 and 1 representative from District 2, 1 representative from District 3. There are no applicants for this board, and the members to make nomination would be Councilwoman Moore and Mayor Pro Tem Jabali.
Scotty, so you've identified several committees that we cannot fully fill because we don't have applicants. Is that right?
That is correct.
Well, I'm just going to make a plea and an appeal to our community, and I see our city manager nodding his head. You know, this is the interactive part where the citizens of our community, very caring, diligent, volunteer citizens, are needed. We need you. We need your passion. We need your time. We need your commitment to come volunteer and help with these important committees. There's a lot of work that all of us are doing in the city. Scotty, you, city managers, all of the directors who are here, the staff, the whole city of Florence. And I'm so proud of, and all council, we're all so proud of the work that the city of Florence every day goes and does. And we as council are here to help and support, but we need involvement from the community. We need the citizens of our community to come forward and to be a part of this. And the work of these committees is significantly impaired, and it slows things down because we don't have the participation and we're not able to fully fill these committees. So I'm imploring upon our citizens, and I know, Scotty, you and all of the members of the city as well as council, that we all join in that request. And if anybody has any questions, Scotty, please give them a number to call.
665-3113. 665-3113.
Please call that number, ask your questions. We'll be delighted. You know, it's like, call now. Operator standing by. So please make that call and help us fill these important seats, because we can't put people on if they're not before us. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? If
We
not,
also
I would simply say, and especially, please note that those are representative for that particular committee is needed from District 2 and from District 3. And also, you can go on the website of cityoflorence.com to receive more information and read about the positions. The committees do have a quorum so they can operate. But if you want input, please come forward, and especially from District 2 and 3, there's not a representative appointed from those areas yet. So please talk to your representative from that area, any council member, if you're interested in serving. So we thank y'all for that, and thank you, Pro Tem, for that passionate plea. So at this time, I'll pass it back to Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have an appointment to the chairperson of this committee. As is written in the bylaws, the council actually selects the first initial chair of this committee. We do have 3 members who have requested to be considered. That was passed out at last council meeting. That's Lyles Cooper, Lauren Piner, and Leo Woodbury.
Make a motion to nominate Lyles Cooper as the chairman.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and that is Mr. Lyles Cooper. All those in favor of Mr. Cooper signify by saying aye.
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 So that's 3. All those opposed signify by the same aye. So I'll be aye. So we have the 3 vote at this time. So at this time, that motion will not pass due to that. So at this time, what is our next item, Scotty?
Okay. I'd like to move to defer any further consideration until we have first off, have full council here, number 1, but number 2, until we add the additional people. While I do think it's important that we put somebody in as chair, and certainly Ms. Lyles is very qualified, as are the other members as well, but I do believe that it's more important that we wait to have these other members and fill out the committee so that we can be in a position to go ahead and have everybody there before us, as well as having a full council before us. So I would move to defer at this time.
Well, at this point, it's already been voted for that we're not going to appoint anyway. And so it fails till we come back again. Parliamentarian? Jim? So at this point, that particular appointment has failed. So at this point, we will not move forward to have another nomination, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so
There's no nomination on the floor.
there's none. So at this point, it'll come back again. And also just be mindful that when it comes to each one of these committees already have a quorum, so they're going to need a chair. And whether or not the other people come aboard or not, these committees are already in place and can operate. We're simply choosing the first chair for them. And then after that, they have to make that choice. They would do it themselves. So this is not going to hinder them. The council just need to agree upon a chairperson. So, but thank you all the council members for that. And think about how we want to proceed from this point with any nomination. So, but that one failed. Are there any other nomination at this time? Okay. Lack of nomination. This has not passed. We'll move on to our next board.
And that concludes the report.
Okay. So at this time, our next item is appointment to the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee of Council. And at this time, I believe our Chairman Councilman McCall, I believe that they'd ask that you do your appointments to that committee.
Yep, so at this time, I'd like to nominate Lithonia Peaches Barnes as well as Mr. William Scofield.
And I don't think that we need to vote because you was given that right the last time to appoint. Correct, parliamentary? I think the last time you elected and y'all wanted him to be able to appoint, correct?
Mm-hmm. So was it nomination or an appointment?
Yeah, I think it was a nomination. I think council should vote on those 3 people being the committee.
Okay. So we let's vote for each committee person separate. Now, Councilman McCall was elected last time because he was placed in the motion by Councilman Bailey, so that his appointment is in place because he was voted in place. So, Councilman, you have Councilwoman Barnes. So at this time, we've heard that Councilwoman Barnes has been nominated, and so we will take upon that nomination now.
Second.
So we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Your next nominee, Chairman.
Is Councilman William Scofield.
Okay. You have the nomination of Councilman William Scofield. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of Councilman Scofield signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it show that Councilman Scofield has been appointed. So the appointments to the Financial Audit and Budget Committee Council has been completed, with chairperson being Councilman McCall, members being Councilwoman Barnes and Councilman Scofield. That completes that part of our agenda. At this time, we will proceed to our committee reports. First on our reports, we have the Business Development Committee. Can we please hear from that chair?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. The Business Committee met on February 17. We had a very robust meeting where Clint Moore made a presentation to us about different development projects that are currently underway in the city of Florence. We heard about Project Urban Square, an update on that, and that is the large development that's going to be occurring in downtown that's going to have apartment building. It'll have a city parking deck that'll be constructed. A hotel is a part of it, as well as office building and townhomes, all consuming the most of the entire block that's across the street from where we are today. We appreciated the update from Clint on that. As I understand it, everything is on track with that. All the processes are in place, and I believe the city is going to be starting demolition work of some of the buildings within the next 60 days, potentially. So that's very exciting update on that project. There was also an update on the NOFA building, which is the building across from Victor's and the Hotel Florence downtown on the 100 block of Evans Street. That building is owned by the city, and the city has done a request for proposals, an RFP, that is out seeking developers to submit proposals to us on what they would like to see and what ideas they have for this 3-story building. My understanding is the requirement that was put into the RFP had the first floor was going to be retail, whether that's restaurant or some combination thereof, but the upper 2 floors could be either office or residential of some sort. So we're anxiously waiting to see what kind of responses we get to that the city will then have a chance to review. So that was a very nice update on that. 3,600 square foot first floor and 1,800 square feet in the second and third floor. We also received an update on gateways into the city. There were several different gateways that were discussed, and we did review. We understand that you can never have a second chance to make a first impression, and some of the gateways leading in and out of the city are in very, very bad shape and give a very poor first impression to people who live here, as well as people who are just coming through our town. And we focused the presentation a lot on the East Palmetto Corridor and the work that needs to be done there. We also discussed several of the other corridors. What was noted, Highway 52 being another one. What we asked for at our next meeting is an update on the I-20 David McLeod corridor, the Oakland Avenue corridor, the North Irby corridor, and then further updates on the East Florence corridor. So we look forward to receiving further information on that. But it was a very involved and important presentation, and we thank you, Clint, for giving us that presentation. If I missed anything, Councilman Scofield or Councilwoman Barnes, certainly.
Go ahead, George.
Got it?
Got it.
All right, we got it. That's the extent of the report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you for that report, and do want to let the general public know that the city county has an advisory committee that's working together. And that advisory committee has an advisory committee that will specifically be working with the corridor leading from downtown into Francis Marion University. There was a study that was completed, and we're getting ready to look at implementing that. And I will thank you to the city staff who is working with the county staff to work with that zoning for that area. So thank you to both the city and to the county for working together to make those improvements. And thank you again for that report. At this time, we will hear from our Community Development Committee Chair, Councilwoman Florence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're happy to know now that the CDC has completed paperwork for the 501c3, and so they will be moving forward in getting a bank account, which is really good because now we can receive money. So if anyone would like to give money to the CDC, we are looking for partners. We also did a tour of the community with the CDC board so that they could see the work that has been done. And I want to say kudos to all who put together the route, because I was even blown away when we saw all that has been done over the years. The housing that's in place now, it actually gave us a mark to work towards, and now we've got to move to even better. They were very impressed with that. Also this summer, we're hoping that we can do a Rise Up Community Summer Park Tour where we will go in and we will love on the community, bring the community, trying to instill a sense of community once again in our communities and on our parks. So we will partner with the Parks and Recreation, the city, and some other organizations so that we could actually bring the community together, just to create a sense of community. I think that's it. Shaquez, Mayor has a love for community. If y'all, Shaquez, you got something to say? Or?
I think you hit it.
I hit it all. I finished.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman, for that report. And at this time, we'll hear from the chairperson from our Marketing and Public Relationship Committee, Chairperson Councilman McCall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At our last meeting, we discussed a few things. First, we talked about the updates from our vaccination campaign and kind of winding it down to its current state now. In addition, also, we talked about, briefly spoke about the continuation of our Civic Pride campaign and showing marketing to the inner city about the benefits and the beauty of the city of Florence. But most of our conversation is still on annexation, trying to make sure that we get to 50,000 as a goal for the city of Florence. I think we had Mr. Mr. Jerry Dudley kind of give us some information on that, and I anticipate that will probably be maybe the blunt of our discussion for the near future. A side note from that, at this time, I think just for the sake of showing that, as the city is moving forward, we intend to have a very bipartisan nature in the way that we move, and I think that we've been doing that thus far. At this time, I will step down as the chairman of this committee, being that I'm the new chairman of the Finance Committee. I will step down for this committee, and at this time, to show bipartisan and coming together as a city, I want to nominate Mr. Brian Braddock to be the chairman of this committee.
Well, I second it.
We have a nomination and a second for Councilman Braddock to become the chair of the Marketing and Public Relationship Committee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let the record reflect that Councilman Braddock is now the chair of the Marketing and Public Relations Committee. Is there another report from your committee, former committee chair?
Nope, I'm not former chair.
All right. So at this time, that completes our reports from our committees. At this time, we are prepared to go into our executive session in order to receive legal advice concerning the council management form of government. from 30-4-70A2. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Or second.
Question. Let me come back out. Okay. So at this time, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. We will be in executive session. Councilman, y'all can take maybe a 5 minute. We have returned from executive session, at which time we did receive legal advice, but no vote or actions were taken. So at this time, this concludes our agenda, but we would also like to acknowledge today that we have Mr. Matthew Bennett with us from the Florence Morning News. Matthew has faithfully covered us over the years, and so we want to thank you, Matthew, for all that you've done, and also in keeping the citizens informed. You're welcome to say something, if you so desire, to the citizens, and let them know why we're speaking to you. Yes, sir. This time,
You want me to do the camera? Brian will grab the camera.
We'll take pics from here.
You want me to take it with my phone?
No,
You got it straight.
Don't this could be public information. Do not use your phones up here. Scott will get it.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, thank you guys for the kind words. You guys make my life easier, and I appreciate your help. Because I've never really had to worry about a lot of stuff. I get a lot of people like, why don't you look for scandals and whatnot? And the good news is for the city, there are no scandals because you guys do a good job. And please keep up the good work. Don't treat the reporter that follows me very poorly, which you guys won't do. And I'm honored that you guys would think this highly of me. And
Tell us your next plans.
I'm going to be a politics and Savannah River site reporter for the Aiken Standard.
I would like that. At this time, I would like to give each council member the opportunity, starting with Councilman Scofield, to say any remarks they desire, coming along in that order.
Sure. I'm going to hide under the desk now.
Don't hide. We can't hide from you.
No, it's supposed to be that way.
Matthew, your years of service to this community and providing information to the public on the insights from all of the elected offices here in Florence County has been invaluable. I didn't really realize it until I got elected how much you actually put out there and how much you are actually bringing to light with what we're doing, because the everyday citizen doesn't get to sit here and always come to every single meeting, but you make sure they are informed. And I just respect you a whole lot, and I wish you the best, my man.
Thank you, sir.
And I will ask that each council member limit himself to 2 minutes or less. Thank you.
To make sure there's no clashes, I will make sure. But Matthew, thank you again for your service, man. I think you've been an asset to the community, as keeping the public informed of the issues. More importantly, I would definitely would be remiss if I didn't say I would definitely be trying to mimic your golf swing. I think you. Matthew's a line drive guy. You best believe it's going line drive. It's going far, but it's going line drive. Yes. But definitely, I would definitely miss that camaraderie that we had, and again, hope for you the best of wishes to you in your next endeavor.
We'll still golf at some point.
Definitely.
Matthew, I just want to appreciate all that you've done and ask one favor, and that is that you give some tutoring to whoever is going to be coming in next, because they have some large shoes to fill. Thank you.
I will be honest, Taylor Ford, she's our new reporter. I've been kind of mentoring her a bit, and so hopefully if she covers you guys, she'll be able to kind of take my place. I'll let her know to make sure not to put an extra E in Jabailey.
Well done, sir.
Matthew, it has been a pleasure coming on as a new councilwoman, and media is something that you run away from, but you come up and you speak and you make it a little friendlier. And so I thank you so much. It has been a pleasure working with you, and I'm blessed that I started off with you and some of the other ones that have now gone, and I hope that those that follow the relationship would be the good relationship that we have.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Likewise, I came up with you and learned a lot, learned to look for you when the mic was near, which is going to be good for me in the future, so I appreciate that. No, but you've always been kind and gracious, and you reported fairly, you know, and you put it out there, but you were always fair and nonpartisan, non-biased, and in journalism, that's hard to find. Very greatly appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
And Matthew, just once again, thank you for all the time that you've been here with us and how you've been so mindful of, I would say, even taking the captures, the pictures and everything of our council to get it out there. We thank you. Just thank you for your service. And I believe that the individuals or the groups who you will be working with in the future, they will benefit from your professionalism, most of all, from being so professional. We appreciate that, and we wish you the best on your next step in the journey. If you ever come back visiting, come to a meeting.
I will do that. I'm not sure I'll stay for the whole thing.
Watch our agendas, and maybe you get a short one. But thank you, Matthew. And if there's no objections, we can stand adjourned.
Come on now.